Now, it's been a tough year to be on the high street, hasn't it, with lots of shops having to close their doors for good in some cases. But one woman from Reading has seen the popularity of her clothes grow so much that last month she had a pop-up store on Oxford Street. She's also been at the New York Fashion Show. Now, Cherise Trimingham designs luxury sportswear. Who even knew such a thing existed? And she's been around the globe with her clothes. She's with us this afternoon. Hi, Cherise.
Hello.
I'm guessing, actually, bearing in mind the line of work that you do, that you have occasionally been helped out by the odd celebrity or two, have you?
Yeah, I would definitely say so.
So who has worn your clothes?
We've had a few celebrities wearing Trimingham. I would start by saying American celebrities such as Rick Ross. He was one of the first people to show love to Trimingham.
Right.
Reddit footballer John Swift was also one of the first.
Right. Okay.
And then we've had global musicians, including Popcorn. He wore one of our most popular signature puffer spacesuits to his headline festival in Jamaica. So that was really good
Right.
as well.
And you hear about this all the time because obviously now we're in an age of the social media influencer where, they wear something or they take a picture of their house and it's got certain products in and lo and behold, people go absolutely crazy and want to get their hands on those things. What value is there in a celebrity wearing your clothes? What difference does it make?
I would say it adds a very great perspective on raising brand awareness. I would say that helps the most because obviously you'll then have people that support that specific celebrity to look at your brand and think, oh, I really like that celebrity. Let me have a look into the brand. So I
Yeah.
think raising brand awareness is the main
And it's
great
the
part.
ideal. It's the ideal that they will post a picture of themselves wearing it, and then they'll explain, who the designer is. Is that the absolute holy
Yeah,
grail, basically?
that is definitely the ideal. That is definitely the ideal.
So, how did you get into this in the first place? Then, I mean, it's many people's dream to become a fashion designer, obviously, but yours is a very specific area of so-called luxury sportswear, and I never even knew this was a genre of clothing, if that's the right term, that even existed. How did you come into it in the first place?
Sure. So I'll take you on a little talk about my journey. So obviously, I first started off at Bournemouth School in Woodley. I've always wanted to be a fashion designer, so it's kind of been my main goal
Mm.
for my whole life. And then I was studying textiles and photography, and from there I moved on to study at Central St Martin's in London, and that's where I done my foundation degree. Just kind of deciding exactly what I wanted to do because I knew I wanted to have a luxury brand, but at the same time I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to specialize in.
Mm.
And I've always been told that it's great to start off by specializing in something. That way you can really make the best of that specific specialism to begin with. So from there, I decided to specialize in sportswear because that was the degree I chose to do after my foundation diploma. And then from there, part of my degree was to study in Milan. So I studied in Milan, learning the beauty of luxury fashion, the fact that it's always quality over quantity. Like the Italian fashion is so beautiful because they look so closely into the finest details and perfecting those small details. From there, I moved back to England and done an internship with Tom Ford, who is also an amazing designer and a great inspiration for me. He is also a luxury brand as well, so I managed to learn a lot there. Whilst doing this, I'm still working on Trimingham, my brand. And then after I finished my internship at Tom Ford, I had my first fashion show at New York Fashion Week, which was a great experience. Debuting my first collection at such a great place like New York Fashion Week.
Yeah,
And
well,
yeah,
we'll come on to talk about that because there's a few stories around that alone. But when it comes to luxury sportswear, then, and I know that I think you specialise in menswear additionally with this. Can you
yeah.
explain, what you mean by luxury sportswear? How does that differ from regular run of the mill sportswear? Describe sort of some of your pieces.
Sure. So luxury sportswear is like it's everyday wear as a sense, rather than active wear. We don't really design active wear unless it's a bespoke piece that has been requested. So like we've designed bespoke pieces for like boxers, like professional boxers as well. But luxury sportswear is basically quality garments that you are able to wear every day because it's more athleisure. I don't know if you've heard of the term
Yeah.
athleisure, but that is the term that they call it. So yeah, so it's
So
everyday. It
I'm
appears to
I'm
be like
guessing I'm guessing that the last year has been the ideal setup for you then, because obviously people are not going to work in an office in the way that they were previously, and we've seen huge surges in people, trying to get their hands on leisure wear and things to wear around the home. Has that worked out quite well for you?
yeah, most definitely, because what we specialize in a lot are creating like tracksuits, so comfort clothing, and also I love to design puffer jackets. And these could be pieces like made out of like waterproof nylon and like Italian jacquards, depending on the specific piece. But yeah, we do like to use a lot of sportswear fabrics as well, like Italian nylons. They are really nice.
We'll come on to talk about New York Fashion Week and about where you are with everything at the moment. So more from Cherise to come in a moment after this from Jessie Ware. Love this. It's called Please on BBC Radio Berkshire. Nearly 20 past 12. Cherise Trimingham is our guest for this hour. She is a luxury sportswear designer and is soon to open a pop-up shop in Reading, actually. But one of the things that you have been doing recently is taking part in New York Fashion Week. How on earth did that come about then, Cherise?
It was a very spontaneous and interesting story, actually. So I'm quite grateful to have family in New York. So from a young age, I've been going to New York to visit family. And then the year before I decided to take part in New York Fashion Week, I just went to visit New York for Fashion Week just to see what it was like. And like, to my surprise, it was like a very friendly and welcoming environment. So I remember I went to watch one show and I was just speaking to the host after, telling him that I'm like a luxury sportswear designer from the UK and I've got my own brand. And he was like, oh, so you're going to be in the show next year? And I was like, whoa, like, like, whoa, like at this time, obviously I think I'm 20, 21. And I was like, I've never done a fashion show in my life, let alone like have my own show. And I've never like even taken part in a fashion show. So I was like, oh yeah, sure. Just like shaking my head like, yeah, sure. So he gave me my card, and unfortunately being a bit of like a careless 20-year-old, I somehow managed to lose his card.
Oh, no.
But it was quite annoying, but at the same time, I still booked to go to New York, and I still have my collection ready to showcase for Fashion Week just in case. And then obviously, whilst I was at my internship, like I was going to be leaving to go like the following day. So my internship was finishing on a Thursday, and I was flying out on the Friday. So I remember the Monday of that week, my sister literally said to me, you're going to New York, you haven't got a show yet. Like, come on, get in gear and find yourself a show. So I remember that week I was just emailing a lot of organizations that I know host New York Fashion Week. And I was just like, hi, I'm design from London, would love to be in your show. And then I kid you not, on the Thursday, like a couple hours before I was finishing my internship, they said, bring your collection, you're in the show. And I kind of thought it was a joke. I was like, no way, it can't be like true. But obviously, of course, I'm still going along with it. So I took my collection out there. I have one of my cousins that lives in New York. So I said to her, would you be able to come with me? Of course, she was on it. And so I landed on the Friday, and this show, the so-called show in my head, was on Saturday. So they said it was in Manhattan. So we turned up there, and they were literally having a casting. And I was like, wow, it's actually happening. But obviously at the casting and the fit and the model fitting, there was only females. And I was like, oh, I knew it was too good to be true. Like, there's only females here, and I specialize in menswear. But there was like, no, there's gonna be males coming. There's gonna be males at the actual show. So I was like, okay, like we've got this far, we may as well kind of chance it. So the show was in Manhattan, a couple of blocks away from Times Square. So it was a really nice location as well. And then got to the show, and there were literally some male models stood outside. And at this point, I was kind of like, oh, I don't really want to have to wait to find models. So I saw this group and I was like, hey guys, I've got a menswear brand. Would you be interested in modeling my stuff? And they was like, yeah, sure. Let us just speak to our agent. So their agency said, yeah, they were happy. And literally that's how it happened.
So had you not found that group of male models handily placed outside the actual venue? Do you know, would you have had any models on the day?
Those models were like intended to go to that show, so
right,
maybe
okay.
the host would have the host probably would have given me them, but me being eager, I was just kind of like, I kind of wanted to have some part in choosing like what the models kind of look like. So luckily, yeah, it all worked out. It really did all work out.
So how do you, though, set up a luxury fashion brand from scratch? Because there's so much infrastructure required, isn't there, with this kind of thing? And particularly bearing in mind you've been working during a global pandemic as well. Are you basically building it up from home? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, so like obviously I've built my brand from scratch by myself. So it's kind of just been the whole journey. It's not like, oh yeah, tomorrow you can just do it and it will be like how it is. It's kind of like, obviously it was Trimingham's 4th birthday on Monday. So it's kind of like we've been doing this for 4 years, and I kind of like started building the infrastructure when I first started university. So I was kind of working alongside that into my university projects. So I kind of had the assistance from my tutors to kind of help me and support me and guide me, and also having great mentors to kind of give you that assistance as well. I think it's important to like realize that no man is an island and you do need the support. And it's also not seeing the brand as like a whole, rather like look at each individual piece and build it like a little bit at a time. So like one kind of brick at a time, rather than looking at the whole wall.
But I mean, it also needs money. I mean, where have you generated that money from? And every business that starts from scratch needs that cash injection, don't they?
Of course, I would say that, but I would also say, like, because obviously I specialize in creating bespoke pieces and I don't mass produce. So like, I don't have a fast fashion brand. So luxury brands, you can really make them as big or as small as you'd like them to be. And I would like to think that my brand is quite like small in terms of like the collections we produce. We don't like overproduce like lots of stock that you're able to sit on. We what I've managed to do is create my brand to be made to order. So even though that does make the lead times a bit longer, it means we're able to like get the order and then produce the garment from that. So that's just always worked for me.
And I mentioned that this pop-up shop in Reading, is that now open? Is it planning to open? What's the deal with that at the moment?
Yeah, so I will be having a pop-up shop in Reading. It will probably be on for one day, and the date I am looking at is the 17th of July at the moment. So watch the space on that, but that is the initial date that we're looking at currently.
Listen, it's lovely to talk to you this afternoon. Well done on everything you've achieved so far. That's Cherise Trimingham from Reading on BBC Radio Berkshire. Here's James now. We'll get your latest weather forecast in a moment.